had it in like every day since it happened.
That's what I'm trying to tell her. So, yes, we've had it. Definitely had it Tuesday and Wednesday.
I don't know if we had it yesterday.
People are
And
insane.
To
she
your
didn't
point.
have it yesterday. There wasn't much news coming out of it yesterday. Oh, this is someone who like, yeah, are they like someone who's like full of land together?
About 30.
No, we didn't. I was looking at some. Oh, did we?
Well, we got it.
Stand by. Five, four, three, two,
Good afternoon. I hope things are going well for you on this Friday. It is now 12:30. I'm Julie Broughton. This is Take 6. We're so glad you're spending a little bit of time with us for your afternoon news and weather update. Of course, we're heading into the weekend. That means a lot of you probably have some outdoor plans. I think your best shot at getting in those outdoor plans will be Saturday because we're tracking a system by Sunday that will bring rain throughout the day. We, of course, need some of that rainfall, so we will talk more about that in just a few minutes. And we're also going to check in with News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. She is taking us on a tour of the beautiful Stetson Mansion, so you'll want to stick around for that. But first, the very latest on a story we've been following throughout the day, both online and on air here at News 6. People living in one Altamont Springs apartment complex are waking up today very shaken after gun violence in their parking lot last night. Someone fired at least 30 shots in their parking lot. Some of that gunfire did hit some vehicles, and at least 2 people were taken to the hospital. News 6's Mark Lehman joins us from the Boca Vista Apartments with more.
Today we saw people who live at the Boca Vista Apartments searching for damage after a barrage of gunfire last night. So this morning you came out here, you were checking on your truck?
That's right. That's right. I just wanted to make sure there was no bullet holes.
Danny Zedin says he was one of the lucky ones, but neighbors parked nearby have bullet holes in places like a back windshield, passenger door, and a rear bumper. You hear that gunfire. What's going through your mind?
My kids. My kids. My kids they sleep right next to the window there, so it kind of scared me thinking that they might get injured or hit by a stray bullet.
I mean, that must be terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Altamont Springs police say they were called for a fight in the complex, but the violence escalated before officers showed up.
I saw 2 vehicles that were parked adjacent right over here, squealing out all the way up, going outside of the apartment complex.
After witnesses saw that car speeding out of the Boca Vista Apartments, it then went down 434, turning at Cimarron Boulevard, and ended up at Advent Health Altamont Springs, about 4 miles away. Investigators say 2 people at the hospital were ID'd with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Meanwhile, over 30 shell casings were recovered from the apartment complex. That's pretty shocking to see that many bullet casings on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely very scary.
As detectives are now working leads, Zedin says all of this may force a difficult decision for his family.
It is nice. We love it. I mean, we've been here for 2 years, and hopefully we can stay a little bit longer. But now we're kind of debating on what we're going to do next because it's a little scary.
In Altamont Springs, Mark Lehman, Getting Results, News 6.
And we will have any new developments for you throughout the day, both on air and online. Turning to national news for you now, Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife are continuing their visit to Greenland today as the Trump administration continues to push for the U.S. to take over control of the island territory. Meanwhile, the White House is still facing scrutiny after battle plans were accidentally shared to a journalist ahead of a strike in Yemen. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest.
Vice President J.D. Vance and the Second Lady left for Greenland Friday. Despite pushback from residents and leaders there, President Trump has had his eye on the semi-autonomous Danish territory for what he says are national security reasons.
One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Also making the trip, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. But back in Washington, the fallout is only escalating. Following the revelations this week, a military operation was discussed over the non-government approved messaging app Signal. Waltz inadvertently invited Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg to the group chat.
They had an opportunity to just accept that they made a mistake tell us how they're going to fix the mistake, and then move on, but they instead went on this weird kind of attack.
While publicly the administration insists President Trump maintains confidence in his national security team, behind the scenes, sources tell CBS News that the president is privately venting. One official says the issue is still, quote, a hot potato.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to preserve the Signal group chat messages where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth disclosed the timing and aircraft to be used in a strike against Houthi rebels.
Mr. Secretary, are you going to comply with the judge's order to preserve the text?
I'm going to get on the plane.
Hegseth deflected as he left the Philippines, where he attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Manila American Cemetery. Over on Capitol Hill, there's a bipartisan effort by the Senate Armed Services Committee to investigate classification policies at the Department of Defense. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Now to the latest on that devastating earthquake in Southeast Asia earlier today. A 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit, and now more than 150 people are reportedly dead in Thailand. CBS's Tina Kraus shows us the damage there.
The sheer force of the quake sent this skyscraper in Bangkok barreling to the ground, with workers who'd been building it in Thailand's capital rushing to escape a cloud of destruction. The 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit as American Deborah Poonmache was relaxing in her Bangkok home.
I was in my lazy boy and all of a sudden it moved back and forth and then it toppled over.
The quake was centered across the border in Myanmar, near the country's second largest city of Mandalay, where a mosque was reduced to rubble with worshippers inside and the university engulfed in thick black smoke. At this hospital, doctors treated the injured outside as a mountain of rubble blocked the entrance to the ER. The shockwaves spread far and wide. Witnesses in Bangkok reported violent shaking lasting for up to a minute, and then a 6.4 aftershock just minutes later. Tourist Fraser Morton was at a shopping mall.
And all of a sudden, the whole building just began to move. Immediately, there was screaming, there was a lot of panic.
At this high-rise hotel, water from a rooftop pool gushed over the sides as the building shook. With the region bracing for more aftershocks, search dogs in Thailand's capital joined the rescue mission at that collapsed skyscraper, looking for dozens of workers believed to be trapped under the wreckage of the tower they were building. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Man, those images are absolutely devastating to see. We will, of course, continue to stay on top of that developing story for you and have updates throughout the day, both on air and online. Now, coming up in just a few minutes, we will take a check of your weather and talk about that system that's headed our way on Sunday, bringing with it the chance of rain and potentially some thunderstorms as well. And also, if you're like me and maybe you're teaching a teenager to drive at your house, we have a really cool option for some virtual driving lessons brought to you by the Orange County Library System. Stay with us. We're back in about 2 minutes. Welcome back to Take 6 on this Friday. It is 12:39. I'm Julie Broughton. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. You may not realize that Central Florida has such a rich history, and many of the most powerful people in the world right around the turn of the 20th century made a stop or even called Central Florida home. News 6's Lisa Bell takes us on a tour of the Stetson Mansion. It is 139 years old and is an absolute gem in our community.
Wow, this is gorgeous. When you walk through room after room of the nearly 10,000 square foot mansion, the attention to detail is striking, from stained glass windows, original parquet floors, to 6 marble fireplaces. And these are some beautiful walls and doors in here.
This is a favorite feature of mine.
Did they live here year round?
The Stetsons were our very first snowbirds. They wintered here for 20 years until John's passing in 1906.
Okay, why did they choose DeLand?
Well, that's a very interesting take, and a lot of folks ask that. It wasn't an intentional visit down here, but more so we believe that Stetson was intrigued by DeLand Academy. Now, as most folks may or may not know, DeLand was originally Persimmon Hollow. And Henry DeLand, who was a wealthy man in his own right, had come here and wanted to make this the citrus capital of the world. So Henry DeLand invited a host of his wealthy friends to come, and thus began the endowment to DeLand Academy, which then went on to become Stetson School, ultimately Stetson University.
But his philanthropy and connections didn't just benefit the university.
Wow,
this is so
This
pretty.
is another favorite space of mine.
In the dining room, the Stetsons hosted President Grover Cleveland, King Edward VII, the Vanderbilts, and more. At the time, this was pretty high tech, this building.
It was. It had hot and cold running water on all 3 floors. It had indoor plumbing, which was unheard of. And most notably, his friends in high places comment, he was friends with Thomas Edison, who came and wired this house with his DC current for Stetson.
Over the years, the mansion has been restored to its former glory while keeping many of the relics of its past, including its original DC circuit box with Edison's own handwriting on the tags.
So with that DC current, the connection to Edison, DeLand was one of the first places in the state to have ice. It was the first city in the state to have electric streetlights. And whenever you guys are ready, we'll make our way into Elizabeth's suite.
Ooh, I would love to see that, yeah.
I often joke that this would be my room if I lived here, right?
Look, is this the closet?
It is. And
she was ahead of her time with this closet.
You see pictures of John Jr. and Henry here. Okay. An original small boy Stetson hat on the mantelpiece, which is one of my favorites.
It's a taste of what life was like for the rich and famous, but also a lesson in American history.
Stetson hats back in the day were shaped by using mercury. We all know mercury today is a poison, and any long-term exposure to it would have caused neurotoxic effects. Hence the term, mad as a hatter.
You have private owners who now own the mansion, but they have opened it up for the community to come in and check it out. Why was that important for them, and why do they do that?
So, you know, this house was saved from the wrecking ball back in '05. Keeping it open to the community, I think, is what keeps her alive. And having her shut down, not sharing the rich history, would be a loss.
Lisa Bell getting results.
All right, high-tech windows, yeah.
News 6.
That was a great story. I learned so much. Mad as a hatter. I had no idea. How cool. All right. And so I think a lot of us can agree that teaching your teen to drive can be pretty stressful. But the Orange County Library System has a way to maybe ease some of that stress. News 6 morning anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer shows us how.
Learning how to drive can be a difficult task. You'll need a lot of experience, right? I'm News 6 anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer. And parents, if you're not quite comfortable letting the kids get behind the wheel of your car, there are ways they can get that real-world experience without the risks.
I'm learning how to drive because I want to get my license as soon as possible.
At 14 years old, Devin Johnson is already getting experience behind the wheel.
You nervous?
Do I look nervous? Yeah, she's growing up pretty fast.
Dad Derek Johnson has been bringing his daughter to the Melrose Center in the downtown Orlando library to get some reps in on their driving simulator.
I wanted to kind of ease her into it in a kind of cool, stress-free way without the risk.
The simulator is as close as it gets to the real thing, with all the features you'll find in your car, like the seat belt, rear view and side mirrors, speedometer, and the brake and accelerator pedals. The program also has traffic built in, as well as unique scenarios drivers may encounter.
There are various weather settings ranging from rain to snow to extreme fog that can allow you to just see the various differences.
Devin plans to continue her driving lessons with the simulator and encourages others to use this resource.
I like how the visuals are very realistic, and I like how it gives me tips on the road so I don't mess up.
For her dad,
now look at your review.
This gives him some peace of mind that Devin will be better prepared to drive when she gets her permit.
The aggressiveness of the traffic, it can tend to be scary sometimes. So I just want her to have enough confidence.
The simulator is free with an Orange County Library System card. You just have to complete a free orientation class. In Orlando, Crystal Moyer, Getting Results, News 6.
I think Trooper Steve would approve of that method. Looks very cool. Now, if you're planning your weekend plans, you do want to be aware that we are going to see some changes in our forecast, including some rain heading our way on Sunday. We'll talk about that for you in just a second. But first, we are still dealing with that sensitive fire weather. We do have that high threat of fire for all of those counties you see shaded in that darker mustard color and then medium for the rest of us. And that means that any fires that do start could spread really quickly. That's because of low relative humidity and gusty winds. Now, we do have red flag warnings posted today for both Sumter and Lake counties. In Lake County, you are under a burn ban. We will get some measurable rainfall in here on Sunday, but that could come with some lightning, which of course could spark additional brush fires. Satellite and radar imagery for us rolling through your Friday. We are dry. We'll stay dry throughout much of the day, but we're seeing a little bit more cloud cover than we have the last few days. Right now, most of us for the interior spots are hovering right around 80 degrees, including the Villages. You're at 79 in Leesburg, 77 in Melbourne, and 75 right now in Daytona Beach. For today, we'll go to a high. We'll warm up a few more degrees, most of us in the low 80s, with the exception of coastal counties. That onshore component to our winds will keep most of you in the 70s. Here's your clouds and rain forecast. We roll through the afternoon. We stay dry. If you have outdoor dinner plans this evening, I think you should be in good shape for that, although it is a little on the breezy side. We'll see quite a bit of cloud cover through the overnight hours. As we start the day tomorrow, I do think we'll start the day dry, but through the afternoon, we'll bring a few coastal showers into the picture. And then later in the evening, we'll start to see that chance of some light rain popping up across our southern counties. Then, as we head through the overnight hours, that's when the rain begins to roll into our area. So even by around 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, we could see pockets of heavy rain from Palm Coast down through Daytona Beach, Deltona, back toward the Villages and Ocala. We'll see about a 70 to even 80% chance of rain on and off throughout the day. So that means most of us will see at least some rain on Sunday. This will likely be a most of the day event, even some of that rain lingering into the overnight hours into Monday. So your 7-day forecast for your Saturday, we go all the way to 87 degrees, 20% chance of rain. Then that goes up to 70% for your Sunday. Again, the showers start early on Sunday, so we're not talking about our typical just afternoon storms where you get the outdoor plans in early. We'll likely see some rain throughout the day. Then we'll see some lingering showers Monday and Tuesday as another front moves in and has trouble making a clean sweep of the area. And then our big story next week will be temperatures every single day hovering right around 90 degrees. We will talk about your forecast in much greater detail on News 6 starting at 4. Thank you so much for spending some time with us on your Friday. If you have any questions or comments for us at Take 6, head to clickorlando.com/Take 6. Otherwise, I hope you have a fabulous Friday afternoon, and I will see you at 4.